She is Michael Jackson's only daughter, and early this morning, in a scene eerily reminiscent of her father's final hours, she was rushed to the hospital. It was an apparent suicide attempt. Being a teenager is difficult under any circumstances, but imagine how tough it must be for Paris Jackson. When her father was alive, she lived in a protective bubble. Since then, she's been thrust into an often harsh spotlight, dealing with grief, bullying at school, she says, and turmoil at home. Last night, it all apparently came to a head, and ABC's David Wright is on the story.
Hello, face that rarely ever is seen in public without makeup.
Just a few days ago, the King of Pop's daughter seemed like a typical teenage girl.
So I'm rubbing this in my face.
Video blogging her beauty secrets, confiding about the man of her dreams.
When I was little, I had this fantasy that I was going to marry a cowboy.
And behaving, well, a little goofy, a little lonely, but not totally out of the norm for a teenage kid.
Hello there, person in the reflection.
Then, days later,
City 16 overdose, sheriff responding.
an eerily familiar 911 call.
Parkway, Calabasas.
Paris Jackson rushed to the hospital by ambulance at 2 a.m. from the Jackson family compound.
Female 15 OD'd on 20 Motrin and cut her arm with a kitchen knife.
This was a serious suicide attempt. This was not a cry for help. And what's coming out is that there have been other attempts at suicide. She's a troubled young girl.
What seems to be the trouble? I mean, there's the obvious, of course.
There's a lot of troubles, let me tell you.
All of them, it seems, stemming pretty directly from the loss of her father. Michael Jackson famously protected his kids, trying to shield them from the glare of the spotlight that had robbed him of his childhood.
I can't take a walk in the park. I can't go to the store. I have to hide in a room. You feel like you're in prison.
The 4th anniversary of MJ's death is now just a few weeks away.
I just wanted to say, speak up, sweetheart, speak up.
His funeral marking the first time Paris Jackson ever spoke in public.
Daddy has been the best father you could ever imagine. And I just wanted to say I love him so much.
I think for all Michael Jackson was and wasn't, what we do know, he was a darn good father. He cared deeply. He cared deeply about his kids.
A heartbreaking loss that suddenly thrust her into a much more complicated life.
It's like living in a pinball machine in a lot of ways.
But this is not a family that's noted for its functionality.
This is not a family that operates in lockstep. This is not the Osmonds. This is a family with a lot of different people, with a lot of visions, and huge success, ego, and income disparities in the family.
Paris Jackson has managed to grow into a poised young actress who seems to have inherited her father's flair, sharing dance moves with Ellen DeGeneres in one of her first grown-up interviews.
Your aim is to get your elbow to hit your rib.
All right, like that? And then one arm's out like that?
One arm's out like this, yeah.
I don't feel cool like that at all.
Hello, darling.
Sharing with Oprah Winfrey the fact that she's faced plenty of normal teen problems, including bullying.
People have tried to bully you?
Yeah.
Really? Really? How so?
Well, at school, and some people try to cyberbully me. They try to get to me with words, but that doesn't really work.
Do you think they're jealous?
Maybe, I don't know.
It's understandable this vulnerable 15-year-old girl could suffer from depression.
But I think it's very, very important to look out for it, to understand what the warning signs are, especially because there's so much excellent treatment that's available for children, and we really want them all to have happy and productive lives, Paris Jackson included.
The tabloids have noticed another troubling sign: wounds on her wrists that could be explained as self-harming, cutting, although no one can say for sure.
As upsetting and tragic as these types of incidents are, we like to use them as an opportunity to educate parents, teens, teachers, counselors about the signs and symptoms of depression.
Paris Jackson has had to endure trials that most teenagers never have to face.
Find the defendant, Conrad Robert Murray, guilty.
including multiple trials over who is to blame for Michael Jackson's premature death. First, his doctor convicted of involuntary manslaughter for prescribing a lethal dose of Propofol. Currently, his concert promoter, AEG Live. Jackson's mother and 3 children are the plaintiffs in a wrongful death lawsuit worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Paris Jackson was deposed in the case. She was expected to testify. In fact, at the start of the trial, many expected she'd be the star witness.
Clearly, the ones who are going to be most compelling, I think, are the kids. And I would expect that they will do well. I mean, my experience with them is now dated. It's been years since I had interactions with them, but I was always impressed, even at a young age, at how grounded they were, intelligent, quick, smart.
Today, a Jackson family lawyer insisted she's under no pressure to testify.
The Jackson family and the Jackson lawyers are putting no pressure on Paris regarding this case at all. It is AEG who is putting this case at Paris's back door.
And even the defense attorney offered words of sympathy for the troubled girl who's now suing his client.
I think it really would be so much in everybody's best interest to leave that poor little girl alone.
The case is full of lurid details about the demons that haunted Michael Jackson toward the end of his life. Until now, Katherine Jackson has been at the courthouse every day, but Jackson's children have not been there once.
But she's a very intelligent young lady. She's got access to the internet. She knows what's going on, and it's very painful to a child who idolized their father.
All of the deep, dark, dirty stuff is coming out.
Exactly.
In that context, perhaps it's not surprising she recently reached out to her birth mother, Debbie Rowe, or that her Twitter feed these past few days has been full of song lyrics, sad songs mostly, about heartbreak and loss. Perhaps another cry for help no one heard.
It's very important for parents and teachers to be on the alert for signs and symptoms and to seek to get these kids the kind of help that they really need.
Among those tweets, barely 24 hours ago, this lyric. Yesterday, all my troubles seemed so far away. Now it looks as though they're here to stay. A Beatles tune she, ironically, owns as part of Michael Jackson's estate.
She's the little girl who has everything, but at the same time has nothing.
Not the thing that she wants the most, her father.
Exactly.
I'm David Wright for Nightline in Hollywood.